People imagine that money collapses under the weight of one bad decision, a disastrous investment, a reckless purchase, a single moment of financial chaos. And sometimes that's true. But for most of us, the leak is slower and quieter. It's a set of tiny, repeatable habits that cost almost nothing today and everything over time. The habits feel harmless because each one is small, defensible, and easy to explain. Together, they build a life where paychecks arrive like rain on sand. They disappear. This is a long, candid tour of those tiny habits, the ones that keep smart people broke, and the gentler counter habits that replace them without asking you to become a different person. No shaming, no finger wagging, just a practical map for turning 1,000 paper cuts into a plan that heals. The first habit is improvisation, treating money like a mood instead of a system. You get paid, you try to remember what's due, you send a few payments, you buy a few things, and you promise yourself you'll be tighter next week. Improvisation is seductive because it feels flexible and adult. It's also the enemy of compounding. When every decision is a fresh decision, you exhaust your discipline on trivia and have none left for priorities. The antidote isn't superhuman restraint, it's rails. Money needs lanes. Income should land in a staging account and flow on the same day each cycle to bills, to a buffer, to investments, and to a weekly spending card. You don't ask yourself whether you'll save this time, you saved already because the rails did the saving before your mood arrived. A second habit that keeps you broke is paying the hidden tax of later. Late fees are the loud part. Opportunity cost is the quiet part. You postpone opening mail, postpone logging into portals, postpone filing a claim, postpone the return trip to the store, postpone the call to negotiate a rate. Each later costs a little, then a little more, and eventually trains vendors to treat you as a customer who won't push back. The antidote is a 5-minute weekly maintenance ritual with one rule: touch each loose end once. You open, decide, and either schedule or solve. You don't admire the pile, you reduce it. The 5 minutes are small enough to survive a bad Tuesday. They buy back hours of future chaos and the money you bleed because of it. Another small habit that demolishes budgets is turning wants into emergencies by refusing to plan. If you never put words and dollars around birthdays, trips, shoes, tires, school fees, or subscriptions, every one of them becomes a surprise. Surprises are paid with credit. Credit charges you rent for your own past decisions. The fix is not a personality transplant. It's labeling a few sinking funds inside your bills account with names that match your actual life. Car maintenance, travel, gifts, school, home upkeep, festivals, sport fees. You feed them on payday the way you feed your utilities. The amounts can be tiny at first. The label is magic because it turns a vague wish into a promise you keep in small doses. The next habit wears a friendly face: convenience purchases with a story attached. You're tired, the app is open, the checkout is one click, the driver's almost here, and you tell yourself that you deserve a break. Sometimes you do. The trap is when convenience becomes a reflex for boredom, celebration, stress, loneliness. Companies are experts at turning your nervous system into their revenue. The antidote isn't austerity. It's a 24-hour pause for anything that isn't fuel or medicine. The pause breaks the spell. Half the time, the itch fades. When it doesn't, you buy on purpose and enjoy the thing longer because it isn't tangled with guilt. The pause earns you more than the discount codes ever did. Subscriptions are convenience's quieter cousin. The first month felt helpful. The third year feels invisible. "It's only $7" is one of the most expensive sentences in a modern household. Small recurring charges hide in your calendar gaskets and never feel like a decision, which makes them unstoppable until you shine a boring light on them. A quarterly re-buy test is the light. Ask, would I choose this today at this price? If the answer is anything less than a clean yes, cancel. Nothing dramatic, no ideology, just a gentle default that your money should do today's job, not yesterday's. Closely related is the habit of treating the minimum payment like a plan. The minimum keeps you in good standing with a lender. It does not keep you in good standing with your future. Making minimums because you must is sometimes reality. Making minimums because you haven't named a target is how you stretch a season of scarcity into a lifestyle. Pick a sequence: snowball if you need momentum, avalanche if you want math. Automate the minimums from your bills lane and the extra payment to your current target on Pay. You are paying to liberate income, not to punish yourself. Every zero becomes a tiny raise. Celebrate it like a win, then roll the freed payment forward and let those wins stack. Some habits don't look like money at all. Sleep deprivation is one of them. On 6 hours, you are suggestible, impulsive, and impatient. The world sells heavily to people who feel like that. The exhausted version of you pays convenience tax, clicks buy now, accepts fees you would have questioned, and reaches for deliveries you'd otherwise cook around. A small sleep habit, 30 minutes earlier, 3 nights a week, will show up in your budget before it shows up in your mirror. A rested brain says not today to a lot of vendors. That is not willpower. That is biology cooperating with math. Another invisible habit that keeps you broke is treating your phone like a casino that fits in your pocket. Badges and alerts are slot machine handles. Tap, reward. Tap, reward. The cost isn't only time, it's attention misallocated. Advertisers aren't just buying your eyes, they're renting your plans. If the last thing you see at night and the first thing you see in the morning is someone else's agenda, your day gets more expensive. The antidote is environmental. Move shopping apps 2 screens deep without badges. Move your investing app off the front page and turn off notifications that don't prevent emergencies. Plug your phone in across the room. Curate a single long-form source you trust. You don't need to be a saint. You just need to make unhelpful taps harder and helpful ones easier so your money doesn't fund someone else's metrics. A deceptively costly habit is treating identity as a subscription. You become a brunch person, a sneaker person, a premium gym person, a festival person, the new phone every year person, and your finances begin to orbit the monthly price of belonging. Identity spending is sticky because it buys status in a community you've chosen. The fix is not to ban joy, it's to set an identity budget that caps the price of membership and rotates the badge. This season you can be the climbing person. Next season you can be the language class person. You don't owe any brand a permanent auto draft for your sense of self. Joy is cheaper and more durable when it's seasonal. There's a habit that looks prudent but is expensive, hoarding just in case until your home turns into a storage unit for past selves. Stuff you don't use steals money twice. You paid for it once, and then you paid to move it, clean it, store it, and organize your weekend around it. If you find yourself wrangling clutter more than you use it, you are compound spending on inertia. A quarterly circulation day fixes this, gently. You walk your home with a recycle, donate, sell mindset and give items a job or a path out. The dollars from selling act as found money that you route straight to your buffer or debt target. Your space clears, your mind clears, your spending slows because you stop importing future chores into your living room.
Another small damaging habit is refusing to read the boring document. The lease clause, the insurance rider, the credit card fee schedule, the employer benefits packet. Not reading is costly because these documents are where the cheap advantages and expensive mistakes hide. People pay fees that a single phone call could eliminate. People miss matches that would double their retirement contribution because the match paperwork looked dull. People carry coverage that doesn't match their life because they never asked a basic question. Promise yourself one tiny skill. Read the first 2 pages and the fee table of anything with your signature. Circle one sentence you don't understand and ask exactly about that sentence. You will save hundreds a year by refusing to be intimidated by dull fonts. Food is another arena where tiny habits make a big dent. You're not overspending because you love restaurants, you're overspending because you don't have a default that rescues your week. When you are tired and hungry, the economy of takeout is whatever the app says it is. The antidote is 3 dinners you can cook on autopilot, ingredients delivered weekly, and a rule that you don't need to be creative on Wednesday nights. You still enjoy restaurants, you just stop needing them to keep you from unraveling. An extra dinner at home is a yield. In a year, it's a mortgage payment, a small loan wiped out, or a buffer that makes your boss's bad week feel like your ordinary week. A bank account habit that quietly keeps you broke is treating a single big balance like money I can spend. Your brain sees one number and imagines it's all available. The truth is that half of that number belongs to future bills, a sliver belongs to taxes, a slice belongs to rent due in 2 weeks, and a promised piece should go to your future. The fix is account segmentation that makes the truth visible. Bills live in a bills account. Your buffer lives in a separate high-yield savings account with a calm label. Investments live in an investing account that might be in another app on purpose. Your spending lives on a weekly card with a limit that resets every Friday. When your money is separated by job, you stop stealing from your future self by accident. Many of us keep ourselves broke by treating our employers like the only source of money. We never ask for the raise with evidence attached. We never send the short note to the prospective client. We never spend the hour polishing the portfolio piece that would help someone say yes. The tiny habit that changes this isn't hustle, it's a weekly skill block and a tiny wins file. 1 hour, same time each week, devoted to building something that raises your price, documenting a process, improving a skill your team actually uses, closing a lingering loop. The wins file is dated lines of outcomes you can point to. Promotions and better rates are not a mystery. They're a conversation made easier by receipts. Each raise you capture becomes an automatic bump to your savings rate before your lifestyle finds out. Another habit, living without a shock absorber. If you can't absorb 2 annoyances without debt, a tire and a cracked screen, your finances are a glass house. You will pay for small events with interest and big events with panic. The fix is a named micro buffer you feed on payday, not a moral trophy, a tool that turns crises into errands. Call it Sleep Fund. Seed it with what you can. Automate a small deposit. Protect it from grocery raids by keeping it in a separate bank. The dollars here are not competing with your investments. They protect them by preventing forced sales and new debt. Boring money is the most profitable kind over time. People stay broke by refusing to price their time. They drive 30 minutes to save $2. They spend Sunday afternoons wrestling with a chore they hate instead of building the little thing that makes them money. They treat free as the only cost worth worrying about and miss the point that time is the only irreplaceable currency. The smarter habit is a simple calculus. If a task costs less per hour to outsource than you can earn or create in the same hour, and if outsourcing doesn't break your budget, you buy your time back. Then you spend the bought time on a habit that compounds: sleep, movement, learning, relationships, or building a small asset. The laziest people with the best systems often look the richest because they don't spend their lives cheaping out on the wrong things. A trap that wears a suit is deal chasing when you don't need the thing. Coupons, limited time offers, points multipliers, free trials that cost more than they save, these are dopamine machines with price tags. The tiny habit that saves you is changing the default question from "how much did I save?" to "what job does this do that I actually need done?" If you can't answer in a sentence, you're going to rent your attention to a marketing department and pay the fee later. Let deals come to you when you're shopping for a job you already decided to do. Don't let deals decide your jobs for you. Another tiny but brutal habit is calendar chaos. You pay late because you forgot, not because you're irresponsible. You miss renewal windows because you didn't put them on a calendar with an alert. You spend on rush shipping because you waited until the last minute to order a basic thing. Your budget isn't broken, your calendar is. The fix is a one-time calendar surgery. Bill due dates clustered to payday, insurance renewal reminders 6 weeks early, quarterly fee and friction audits, tax deadlines, and a standing weekly 5-minute money check-in. The calendar is a richer person than you are because it doesn't get tired. Let it do the remembering so your money stops funding preventable mistakes. People also keep themselves broke by refusing to exit sunk cost situations. You stay in the gym you no longer use because you already paid the joining fee. You keep a car that devours money because you put so much into repairs already. You continue the degree you hate because I've already spent 2 years. Sunk costs are history. Money doesn't care about your past justifications. The habit that saves you is a sentence you can say in a mirror. If I were making this choice fresh today, would I choose this at this price? Then act on the answer even if it embarrasses you. The humility will make you rich, the pride will not. A related habit is confusing price with cost. A cheap item that breaks twice or makes you buy 2 accessories is expensive. An expensive tool used daily for years is cheap. The saving habit is to ask price per use.
It will steer you away from fragile deals and towards durable value. Your closet will shrink, your account will grow, your weekends will be lighter because you aren't maintaining low-quality everything. You don't need more discipline, you need better questions.
One of the quietest, most expensive habits is drifting through benefits you already earned. Employers offer matches, wellness stipends, commuter benefits, pre-tax accounts for health and childcare, discounted insurance bundles, and learning allowances. People leave money on the table because the forms look like homework. The tiny habit here is a single lunch hour twice a year reading the benefits booklet as if it were a raise. You mark what applies to your life now and set up the ones that pay immediately. Found money is still money. Don't donate it back to HR through neglect. Taxes get people because their habit is surprise. If you're salaried and your withholding is right, payday takes care of most of it. If you're freelance or have side income, failing to peel off taxes on arrival is a fast road to broke. The saving habit is a taxes lane with its own account, its own label, and its own calendar. A fixed percentage of any non-payroll income moves immediately. You pay quarterlies without drama because the money was never yours to borrow. The habit makes you the calm kind of person who sends payments on time and sleeps at night. Calm is wealth adjacent in more ways than one. Another small habit with big consequences is saying yes to everything. Every dinner, every weekend trip, every favor that costs you money, every "can you chip in," every bridesmaid dress. Giving can be beautiful. Automatic yes gets expensive. The healthy counter habit is a sentence you keep in your back pocket. "I'd love to, but that's not in my budget this month. Can we do X instead?" The more you practice saying it, the easier it gets. You don't become stingy, you become clear. People who love you will love you after you say it. People who love your money will find new people. Tiny legal sloppiness keeps families broke for decades. No will, no beneficiaries, no powers of attorney, no inventory of accounts. A life built with care gets redistributed by default because no one could find the paperwork. The habit to install is a small in case of packet. A basic will, updated beneficiaries, insurance info, key contacts, and a map to your accounts. You save it in a fire safe and a secure cloud folder. You tell one trusted person where it lives. Doing this doesn't just save money, it prevents arguments and protects your people from turning their grief into paperwork. The financial return is enormous even if you never measure it. People remain broke by chasing complicated strategies before they've done the simple, durable things that always work. They trade often because they're bored. They load up on fads because screenshots look like proof. They confuse novelty with edge. The antidote is a one-page investing policy that a tired version of you will obey. Broad, low-cost funds, automatic contributions on payday, rebalancing on your birthday and half-birthday, no fiddling because a headline is loud, and a small sandbox for curiosity sized like entertainment, not retirement. The tiny habit is rereading the policy when the market wobbles. The money you don't lose by staying simple is often more than the money you'll ever gain by getting clever. There's a case for couples here too. A tiny habit that keeps relationships and finances broke is not talking until there's a blow-up. The better habit is a 20-minute weekly money date that looks backward without blame and forward without fear. 2 statements, no speeches. What happened and what's next? You agree on a personal spending threshold below which neither needs permission. You pick one micro-experiment for the week, a subscription to cancel, a recipe to try, a small bump to the buffer. Calm comes from cadence, not confession. Now, 2 short stories to make these habits feel real. A 32-year-old designer kept feeling broke despite a rising salary. Her tiny habits were exquisite: daily coffees, food delivery 4 nights a week, a half-dozen tiny subscriptions, a belief that I'm not a spreadsheet person, and a phone that made buying frictionless. She didn't need a budget boot camp, she needed rails. Income landed in a staging account, then flowed to bills, a sleep fund, investments, and a weekly card. She kept a 24-hour cause rule and deleted one-click checkout. She tested a grocery default and learned 2 no-thinking dinners. She canceled or changed 5 subscriptions during a single rebuy test and redirected those dollars into her buffer. 3 months later, she wasn't richer by a lottery ticket. She was richer by margin.
The same salary felt different because her tiny habits stopped feeding leaks. The urge to splurge faded because her weeks were less chaotic. Calm and cash showed up at the same time. A 45-year-old technician was always almost caught up but never actually ahead. His small habits were classic: minimum payments only, ignoring benefits packets, paying taxes from whatever was left, driving out of town for deals, and saying yes to every family expense first. He flipped 3 tiny switches. He skimmed a fixed percentage into a taxes account the day clients paid, set up a bills lane with sinking funds for car and property tax, and spent a lunch reading his benefits booklet, which led to collecting an employer match and moving his family to a plan that cost less for how they actually used care. He wrote a 1-page investing policy and moved his phone apps so he checked his portfolio twice a month instead of twice a day. 6 months later, same job, same person, different story. Late fees vanished. Refunds turned into plans. His accounts looked like they belonged to someone who got a lucky break. The lucky break was a handful of tiny habits that stopped tripping him. You don't need to adopt everything here. You need to remove the 2 or 3 small behaviors that bleed the most and replace them with 2 or 3 small behaviors that pay you back every week. Begin with Rails if you don't have them: staging account, bills, buffer, investments weekly card. Add the 5-minute weekly money check-in. Install a 24-hour pause. Name your buffer something that makes you want to protect it. Pick one boring dinner that saves you on Wednesday nights. Move the phone apps so temptation lives further away than your thumb. Read the first 2 pages of the boring document and ask one question. That's enough to change your month. Change enough months and you change your life. People often ask for the one-line summary. It's this: the tiny habits that keep you broke are the ones that outsource your choices to exhaustion, nostalgia, and notification badges. The tiny habits that make you rich are the ones that put money on rails, give every dollar a job, and turn emergencies into errands. You can adopt them without drama. You can keep them without heroics. You can start them this weekend. If you do, nothing about you needs to be louder on the internet. Your life will simply feel more like yours, and your accounts will begin to look like the person you already are when you're not tired. That kind of quiet is affordable. It's built from small things done on purpose. People often ask for the one-line summary. It's this: the tiny habits that keep you broke are the ones that outsource your choices to exhaustion, nostalgia, and notification badges. The tiny habits that make you rich are the ones that put money on rails, give every dollar a job, and turn emergencies into errands. You can adopt them without drama. You can keep them without heroics. You can start them this weekend. If you do, nothing about you needs to be louder on the internet. Your life will simply feel more like yours, and your accounts will begin to look like the person you already are when you're not tired. Begin with a sentence you can believe. I'm going to make small promises that my tired self can keep. Then write your first 3 promises. Income routes itself on payday. I will keep a 5-minute money check-in on Sundays. I will wait 24 hours before buying. That's it. No manifestos, just a few levers you'll actually pull. Pull them long enough, and the tiny habits that kept you broke will feel like ghosts from a different decade. You'll wake up one morning and realize the most luxurious part of your day is that you didn't think about money until lunch. That kind of quiet is affordable. It's built from small things done on purpose.